from Massachusetts, Ms. Pressley, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Chair Atkins, I've read an article where you once said, quote, "The ultimate boss is the investor," unquote. Do you still stand by those words?
As far as the markets go, that's definitely true.
Well, I think we can all agree if bosses are to make good decisions, they need to have access to good data. Unfortunately, as the head of SEC, you are denying investors access to information. You're changing the rules that have been put in place by limiting what data is provided to investors and reducing how frequently data is provided to investors. Now, I've had colleagues across the aisle complain about information overload and, past bills. Colleagues so often, investors only have access to quote-unquote material information. The problem with that approach is that Republicans are arbitrarily choosing what information is material and immaterial to investors. Now, I've been on this committee 8 years since I arrived in Congress, and I know that investors care about a wide range of information, ranging from executive compensation to costly climate-related disasters like floods and fires. So I want to focus on diversity disclosure specifically. The SEC approved a rule that required public disclosure on the race and gender of board of directors. Now, this information was important to investors because study after study has confirmed that diversity is good for your bottom line. It is good for business. So can you explain why you believe investors shouldn't have access to this information?
Investors should have access to material information, and I mean, in general, it comes down to the company's decision as to what they believe is material or not. And because again, it's for the reasonable investor, it's not for particular investors to as the rubric. That's the way the court has ruled. So anyway, so our rules are geared to the company, and it requires companies, issuers, to disclose material information to the public. And so,
Well, I'm running, okay. Well, I'll reclaim my time. I just, again, in order to make good decisions, you have to have good data, and the majority of investors are saying that they want this information, and many reports and CEOs have affirmed that diversity is good for business and for the bottom line. So that answer is insufficient for me, and I just, again, a study of institutional investors that handle hundreds of billions of dollars have found that 30% of investors wanted to know if senior management was diverse. So that means roughly 1 out of 3 investors consider this information important. So I think that makes it material. Disclosures about board diversity, climate risk, use of AI are essential for investors to make smart decisions. After all, in your words, the investors are the ultimate boss. So to reiterate, bosses need data to make decisions. Now, that's why I am reintroducing the Greater Supervision and Banking Act, or GSIB, to mandate disclosures by the biggest banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, and others. Investors and consumers alike deserve to know how these institutions are impacting climate change, how that's increasing costs and deadly natural disasters. Investors deserve to know whether these banks are rewarding themselves with large executive bonuses, and investors deserve to know that the board of directors at these companies represent them and their interests. They deserve it and they want to know. Chair Atkins, can you commit to finding a way to ensure this information is available to investors when 1 out of 3 say this is what they want? Can I count on your partnership?
Well, again, so the court has held that information is material, not depending on what the proclivities of one or another.
I got it. You're sticking to it. I was, Chair Atkins, I'm trying to give you a win here. You don't have a stellar reputation on this front. The 2008 Great Recession, when you were first a commissioner at the SEC. But we don't have to go back decades. I mean, just a few years ago, you were advising FTX when that company collapsed. So I really saw this as an opportunity for partnership, for you to redeem yourself there, Mr. Chair. I was trying to give you an easy alley-oop. I do believe we need fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and the American people deserve that instead of another global financial crisis. I yield back.